What's up with the YouTube? Kobe NBA West, another video. In this video, I want to speak directly to my detractors, to those of you who try to diminish the significance of the men's right movement, to my accusers who believe that proof and substance ain't necessary when constructing an argument. What's it gonna take for y'all to distinguish between female bashing and female failures? If I were to discuss a woman who's friendly, responsible, and reasonable, and all that good shit, would I be discussing that woman solely because she's a woman? And likewise, if I discuss a woman who's dumb, narrow-minded, and illogical, would I be discussing that woman solely because of her gender? I don't judge women simply because they're women. Any individual should be judged by character. So labeling what I have to say as bashing or flagging it because it's something that you disagree with, that's nothing more than an attempt to stifle freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Every time I drop one of these videos, I always get the same response from a lot of the women, that I'm not like that, or you're meeting the wrong kind of women. You know, the standard stock replies that they give you. Now, there are exceptions to these rules. Some of these women could genuinely not be like that. You know what I'm saying? Or in some cases, they may be correct. I may have met the wrong woman. But just because it doesn't apply to that particular woman does not negate the message as a whole. You see what I'm saying? This is something that many women fail to realize. So why is it wrong to people that want to call me a basher or a woman hater? Why is it wrong for me to discuss virulent anti-male laws and courts that many women use to abuse men and children? Why is it wrong for me to discuss these things? Am I wrong because it's fiction? Am I attributing make-believe problems to women? And why are women more concerned with tone over substance? How can you label my message as bashing? I think my message is very real. The anti-male laws in Western society makes my message pressingly important to men. And these laws are always, or almost always, exercised on a man via a woman. Yet you just prefer to label what I got to say as bashing or hate speech when it's actually fact. See, calling me a bashing or a woman hater, that very attitude just serves as proof and just demonstrates over and over on a micro level the spoiled, responsibility-free mentalities that a lot of these women in Western society got. Women don't care about equality or the freedom of speech or freedom of expression unless it's advantageous to them. Gentlemen, we live in a Vagiocracy in Western society. In the Vagiocracy, whining, do-overs, and make it easy for me legislation rule today. Now let me get to these manjonas, the ones that want to say that, you need to respect our black queens. That's all these manjonas want to do. I mean, see, what about y'all niggas? Y'all be like, you don't be talking to our black queens like that. I don't see how you chumps don't see, or you can't realize the feminazi bias laws all around us that's in our schools, our hiring practice, our court system, etc. Take biology for instance, man. Women don't want to hear the biology. They don't want to hear that, oh, biology suits men better for some jobs. They don't want to hear that shit because they want to cling to the fallacy that they can do anything a man can do. However, when it's to their advantage, this is the Vagiocracy at work. When it's to their advantage, they want to use biology as the basis for their argument. Like, they'll go to court and say, oh, well, the woman's better suited for the child because of her biological makeup. So, let me ask you this. Why does biology matter in one instance and not the other? Again, I have to just point out the Vagiocracy that we live in. Only when it's to their advantage does something matter. It's how our country's operating, man. That's all I see going around me. That's a fact. I'm just trying to call attention to it. And the best response you clowns can come up with is, don't talk about our black queens like that. Now, honestly, radical feminism is on its international scope. And it reaches far beyond the confines of black America. You know what I'm saying? But you just want to call what I got to say is bashing. You're bashing the women. How's making a better choice? You also say, oh, you gotta make a better choice in women, nigga. Okay, well, how's making a better choice in women going to address the plethora of anti-male legislation from spreading and evolving in Western society? How is me choosing a better woman going to stop that legislation? So as long as we support it through, not talking about it and being silent and condoning, women that abuse these laws, they perpetrate this abuse on man, we condone that shit. You know what I'm saying? And these laws evolve and get worse and become more draconian. That's a bigger disservice to our children and a bigger disservice we doing to our families. But all you want to say, oh, don't talk about it. Don't talk about the women. Chumps. Ask yourself this. How many women do you know, save Saint Ann Coulter, but how many women do you know who are speaking out against anti-male legislation? How many women do you know who are actively seeking to abolish alimony / child support, the VAWA Act, and single mothers? Those are the three foundation of radical feminism. I say three because alimony and child support is the same thing, just depending on the separation situation that you are under. So how many women you know trying to abolish that shit? How many women can you think of? Any women can you think of that's pushing for the end of those type of legal practices? Yet you don't want me to talk about it. In summation, dear sirs, you're doing yourself a grave injustice by surmising that finding a good woman will solve all your problems. Don't fall into that sensitivity, quality, love bullshit. Love everybody, that trap that the radical feminism tries to disguise itself in. Even the subtle differences, in my opinion, between men and women make all the difference. I'm not saying that every man is smarter than a woman, or every woman, but even so, the woman she prefers to have the man lead her. Nature created the woman dependent on the man. No matter what the wild, delusional stories these women try to create, what I'm telling you is fact, man. And that's why women view men as the alpha. That's why they tell us we need to step up. We need to be the leaders. Subconsciously, they're telling us that they want us to be the leaders, even though they deny it with their mouths. So, black women, they want to snatch the role of the man within the family, but we can see that she fails at it every time because she's not the leader and she knows that. Why else do you think that women in general believe that the government's sole purpose for being here is to take care of her and her children? This is why women cling to social welfare programs and child support and alimony, like suicide bombers cling to religion. Those are her attempts, man, to replace what nature intended. She's trying to scramble and find other ways around it. Women have been taught to hate their place in nature. This is why you see so many women trying to walk around charading like men instead of cherishing their first estate as women. Man, brethren, man, y'all need to hear my words and y'all need to ponder my words. It's not a woman bashing video. This is reality. I don't share no love for the current system of single mothers and the women with unchecked power over men and children. The men's rights movement don't shed no tears for the coming extinction of the current system. On the contrary, we adopt a joyful stance about this shit. We look forward to it. We welcome its destruction. I must admit, though, I reference black women a lot, but the woman problem is much bigger than black women in the United States. It's a problem of massive dimensions on an international scope. The problem is you got all these undeserving chicken heads running around with a sense of entitlement in the Western society, and in some portions of Latin America too, that basically emulate Western cultures. But you got these undeserving entitlement freak chicken heads running around, you know what I'm saying, because they got all these privileges that are granted to them through the bureaucracies, you know what I'm saying, that they dominate the social liberals that we have in our Congress. These people ain't even social liberals, man. They borderline cultural Marxists. Obama is the primary example. So, I mean, day and night, man, they constantly pushing this feminism down our throats. I can't understand why you so-called men will give over to these arrogant, egotistical creatures. They're not even women, they're just creatures. Their sole purpose is just to acquire property and other material shit. When you going to wake up to the political repercussions anti-male laws create for all men alike? Or are you just simply satisfied with being stupid and labeling what I have to say as woman bashing? Think about it. West Coast.